Hey guys, Simon here. I just wanted to invite you into this preview for my show Worlds Within. I just started a trilogy on collective consciousness, so I'm giving you this little snippet. If you want to see the rest of the episode, check out edgeofwonder.tv. Come subscribe. I'd love to have you there. We're going through lots of interesting explorations in my series and all the other original content on there, so I want you to check that out. And if you are interested in seeing more, you can get a 10% discount when you sign up annually for a subscription. Also, just to let you know, I'm doing a conference this summer called Camp Disclosure in Flat Rock, North Carolina. It's going to be an amazing healing experience for the truther community, for light workers, for all of us to come together after this whole pandemic craziness. So check out campdisclosure.com. Enjoy the preview. For those of you who are already on the platform, thank you for your support and your love. I look forward to seeing you there. Take care. I want you to join me in visualizing the nature of human connectivity right now. You are an acupuncture point within a meridian-like grid that is the human collective. Consider that we spoke last week about the way an acupuncture point can dim preceding a physical illness or injury. Notice that the injury or illness which is causing the acupuncture point to dim is, in a very basic way, reducing the flow of light. In terms of both the human body's meridian system and this metaphor for a grid of awakening humans, this light is both a carrier of nourishment and information. And just as it is within the human body, when there is a blockage within this system of transiting light, the pertinent nourishment and information cannot make its way to the portion of this grid. In terms of using this as a metaphor for the human collective, this nourishment can be seen as human kindness, compassion, and understanding. The information within this light can be seen as the life wisdom we need as a people to evolve into our higher purpose as a species. This brings us to reconcile our ability to become a point of clarity within this grid of awakening humans, and even more importantly, a source of light. If you imagine your evolution as a point on this grid, becoming clear enough to be a conduit for nourishing and infusing this interconnected grid with kindness, compassion, and understanding. Concurrently, as this point of light and clarity, you are also offering your silent mind as a witness to the wisdom that arises naturally and intuitively within the heart and the body consciousness. This is the interconnected nature of the human collective, awakening to itself through you. What haunts this process is the way we keep aspects of ourselves compartmentalized, parts of ourselves we intend to keep secret from our own day-to-day awareness and from others around us. This is the obstacle of the shadow self, the parts of ourselves that operate covertly and cause us to make decisions and perform behaviors rooted in pain, confusion, and avoidance. Within this collective, luminous grid, this is the warped way of living that stops the flow of nourishment and information within the collective. The way to confront this is to live within the reality of how interconnected we are within every minute interaction. If we are truly this connected already, we need to reconcile the fact that nothing within us is ever really hidden. This is why a lack of personal transparency degrades the grid of human connection, by propagating the lie and the persistent mainstream narrative that we are a voice emerging from a brain, driving our lives from within the private world of chatter in our head. The notion of the private self hidden away within you isn't true. We see glimpses of this when we suddenly speak the words someone else was thinking, or receive a phone call from a friend as we thought of them. This means that part of the Luciferian social engineering at play brings us back to their attempts at stopping the process of ensoulment by coercing us to overstimulate our bodies through trauma and indulgence. We discussed this phenomenon in the series numerous times as we unpacked the Toronto Protocol and its stated intention of causing the wandering of the spirit of man. Here, it's very clear that if we are indulgent within the idea that we're nothing but bodies driven by chattering brains, we are led down a path of further separation from each other. As we are driven further into the sensation that we are separate beings with a secret, private world within ourselves, we become subjected to the idea of avoiding dealing with our own internal corruption. We so easily begin to believe that the feelings and thoughts within us that are not harmonious with a path of service and kindness can be suppressed and ignored without anyone knowing. What truly occurs is that these internal blockages lock us into behavioral patterns that play out according to what is unresolved within us. This brings us back to the spectrum of input we represent within the human collective. Are we a point of free will, feeding this grid with the nourishment and wise information it beckons, or are we merely a point of input for someone else to feed the collective with restrictive programming? But this point of evolution also reveals the individual's connection and responsibility to the collective experience of full disclosure. Consider that this pattern of internal secrecy, based on a false idea of the self, is a direct microcosm of the massive forms of secrecy dominating the human race at this time. Just as the individual hides its own spiritual potential through living the socially engineered story of being nothing more than a private voice within a disconnected body, we are collectively subjected to the global cover-up of revolutionary energy technology, true human history, our galactic heritage, and our oneness with everything around us. This is why one of the most direct ways to support a full disclosure timeline is transforming the self through internal silence and heart-based living. The socially engineered state of separation and personal secrecy, which breeds us to perpetually live from a place of motive instead of being of service to our circumstances, is like a virus constantly seeking to stop our collective communion. This means that one of the major choices we are here to make, in terms of free will, is between living a programmed life, led by an internal dialogue that coaxes us toward being self-serving and secretive, and living a life of transparency, in which we allow the vulnerability of our heart to lead us into the necessary forms of service to others that are calling us within each interaction.
War. We are surrounded by it every day. From overt violence right down to the subtlest expressions of spiritual, psychological, and biological warfare. Does war represent a life lesson that humanity has been stuck repeating for eons of time? Is it possible that the karma of wars playing out on Earth right now has galactic origins? Can we finally grow beyond this lesson as a species? Season 1 of this series will explore the metaphysics of warfare. Through the lens of a variety of spiritual teachings, old and new, we'll get to the heart of this ancient mystery. Join me in exploring and understanding the true role of war in our lives. I'm your host, Simon Esler, and welcome to Worlds Within. Only on edgeofwonder.tv.